You're listening to Radio August. Dark Nights with Poe and Monroe.
It's 5 o'clock and I'm Alice Monroe with your August update. August police are appealing for information following the murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Miss Shaw's body was discovered last night. Chief DuPont is calling the crime a violent and despicable act. Anyone with information about the murder is urged to get in touch via the department's confidential tip hotline. It's horrible, Poe.
Indeed it is.
You need to learn when to keep your mouth shut. Exactly. Rewind.
You're listening to Radio August. Dark Nights with Poe and Monroe.
It's 5 o'clock and I'm Alice Monroe with your August update. August police are appealing for information following the murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Miss Shaw's body was discovered last night. Chief DuPont is calling the crime a violent and despicable act. Anyone with information about the murder is urged to get in touch via the department's confidential tip hotline. It's horrible, Poe.
Indeed it is.
You need to learn when to keep your mouth shut. You know why you're here, don't you? The dead girl. And this. What exactly were you thinking? You have one job. Don't get caught. Do you think you can do that this time? Splendid. You're going to a town called August. Find Chief DuPont. He's gonna think you're someone else. This person. This is who you are now. Understood? Understood? Splendid. If someone so much as sniffs that you're different, you'll be deprecated.
Deprecated.
We expect you to use your ability. Just don't get caught. And never, ever change into a child.
In brighter news, August resident Mia French is celebrating the return of her missing pooch, Barley. The 8-month-old Basset Hound puppy was found outside Daryl's Chicken and Ribs.
And that's 5 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
I'm Violet. Welcome to the guest house. There are some rules. In particular, no shoes in the guest house. The carpet's priceless. Now, How long are you staying for? Yes, the chief said it may be a while. I can see you don't mind getting your hands dirty, though. There's not been many visitors of late. Perhaps the murder will bring some tourists in. Sometimes we wish we'd asked something and the moment just passes. Yes, the murder. You haven't spoken to the chief yet, have you? Chief Dupont. He's the one who booked the room for you. You look lost. You should probably go and speak to the chief. Your room is just down the hall, last on the left. It has its own back door. The chief said that's the way you'd like it.
Just finishing. You don't believe? That sounded serious. You must have a serious job to do. Hi, I'm Bronwyn. Pleased to meet you, Sam. If you'd like a reading. So, what's your question, Sam? The Fool. I'm going to see a lot more of you, aren't I, Sam? Well, enjoy the journey. But remember, not everything is winnable. I'm in room 1 and that's down the hall. Lorraine's in 2, Lexi's in 3. And which room are you in, Sam? Mysterious. But I know you're in room 4, Sam. Don't do anything I wouldn't do in there.
Again, becoming cloth. Bedraggled hair with seaweed, and tentacles, each topped with an eyeball. Only they weren't, except for a moment. The head was a monstrous mouth of some deep-sea horror, ringed with row on row of teeth, too impossibly large to fit in the room.
Good, you got my message. Chief Inspector Dupont. I wasn't sure you'd come, but I suppose you're between jobs? Well, we both know that's not true. But I like it. Sam, that's your cover now. So, the job. Dorota Shaw, 21, accomplished cellist, redhead. Strangled. I know who did it, but I need proof. It's the tarot readers. Because they predicted it. The older one, Bronwyn, she came into my office last night talking all crazy and saying Dorota was in trouble. I did my best not to lock her up. It all sounded crazy to me. Tarot, the spirit world, cards that move, trans-dimensional thingamajigs. To be honest, I thought she'd probably been smoking something, and that's why I didn't take it seriously. Because things, I don't have enough on her. That's where you come in. The free guest house stay isn't free. I need you to work the case and report back to me. Find out things from the inside. Can you do it? Okay. I'll be telling everyone that you've been hired by the Shaws because obviously local law enforcement is either too incompetent or too overworked to solve anything. That gives you a license to talk to people, but only notionally. Don't actually touch people or annoy them. You don't have any real authority, understand? But you help me out, I'll help you. You don't get that. There's no badge and gun, just a hope and a promise. Come and find me when you're settled. This is Second Chance Sunday for you, Sam. Don't blow it. Born here, runs the local guest house. Lovely lady. Where are you going with this, Sam? What's she told you? Look, if it's about the pills, I already know. What do you want to know? She was a cellist, selected for a scholarship at Juilliard. It was in the local paper. I'm more of a Bon Jovi fan myself. Don't read the paper, do you? Yesterday, Monday the 9th at approximately 9 p.m, according to the coroner, we got a call from the mother just after 10 p.m. They're as thick as thieves, covering for each other. Well, except the male one. You'll see what I mean. Obviously. Anyone who walks in predicts a murder, then that murder happens. Suspicious. In her bedroom. She was naked. Strangled. No signs of sexual activity of any kind. It was a weird scene to look at. There was one thing, but it's strictly between you and me. Dorota had a gold coin in her mouth. I'm being serious now, Sam. Not a word of this. It's the one thing only the killer would know. Not much. Perhaps you should do some investigating?
Perhaps starting with my brain, though it hadn't yet decided, and was curious about starting with feet. So I left and observed with the bag lady as I went, and relayed my thoughts through the worm. A new life with the bag lady's worm inside my brain. Small talk with the servers at the restaurant. Not.
You must be a new guest. Or you're burglaring us. I'm Rain, by the way. Pleased to meet you, Sam. Enjoy your stay. The hot water goes off at 9, by the way, so it's cold showers from there on in. It really bugs me. We did a reading. A group reading, actually, with a special tarot deck. The three of us get together and read the same cards. Bronwyn says it makes the whole thing stronger or more powerful or something, but I'm pretty sure I'd get the same answers just on my own. Mercury? It's not exactly from here. With a normal tarot deck, you'd have the question, so you'd be the querent. With Mercury, it gives you the question and the answer. The cards themselves kind of change. It's a special deck. I don't have it at the moment. Bronwyn has it. I didn't know her. I know she was called Dorota Shaw. She was young, had red hair, a talented musician. Next victim? Whoa! Hold on a sec, we don't even know if there's going to be a next victim or not. We'll do another group reading soon, and then we'll have a better idea. I was in my room. Praying, actually. I don't believe in God, but I was still praying. It didn't work. My prayer, that the girl would be safe.
Appeared and changed forms, and the screams lasted just a moment, maybe a fraction of a second, before George was gone.
I assume you've been to see Chief DuPont already? Not really. I'm sure she was a precious lamb, though. Yes, a lamb. Young. Innocent. Lambs get slaughtered, though, don't they? Nice, yes, that's a good description. Actually, I thought she was a bit slutty, to be honest. You should talk to her boyfriend. I'm sure they weren't exclusive. Oscar lives at the vicarage next to the church. Don't tell him I sent you, though. I'm sure he's sick of seeing people already. I take clozapine. I think they're for anxiety. I'm a very anxious person. I don't know, Dr. Sam, you tell me. They're tarot readers. I'm thinking of asking them to leave, actually. Because they may have killed someone. It's not great for my reputation, is it? Stay at Violet's, the home of killers and hobos. I'm sorry, it's a derogatory word, isn't it? But strange people seem to gravitate towards this guest house, Sam. I think I'll get the sign changed. It's the strangest thing. I honestly don't remember. But I imagine I was here or getting groceries somewhere. I've driven by it, never actually been in it.
It has quite a history to it, doesn't it?
It sounds awful.
Yeah, quite creepy. Overnosed.
You're listening to Radio August.
Sam, is it? I'm sensing you're not here for a reading. Mercury? Sure. I'll just get it. It feels a bit sacrilegious just spreading it out to show you. It doesn't really answer questions, it more asks them. Do you want it to ask you a question, Sam? It wants to know if you're happy being the person you are now. Mercury agrees with you. It's nice that you're being honest with me and with yourself. Chief Dupont thinks I did it. I'm hoping you'll convince him otherwise. I didn't. We've only been here 2 days. I understand it's suspicious me being a stranger in town, but it's the truth. There's a lot more at stake here than you know, Sam. Well, if I told you that, you'd have nothing to do. We saw it in the cards, not images, feelings, impressions. Tarot can be very powerful. Not these cards. They only tell us what they want us to know. In my room reading, I found a trashy romance novel under the bed. I'm assuming it's Violet's. It's all swooning heroines and brooding vampire Casanovas. Thank God Lexi saved me. She came to my room to chat for a little while. That was around 9, I think. You can ask her. I said the book was trashy. Look at this place. If her guest house is anything to go by, Violet's the opposite of trashy.
The sight of the bird's claws, her mother's claws, piercing the chair's upholstery, pierced Pen's eyes.
Hi, Sam, is it? Come on in, make yourself at home. Mi casa es su casa. Come on. I don't know anyone in this town, except for Bronwyn and Rain, obviously, and Violet, and the Chief, and now you. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Good old-fashioned fortune-telling. Well, kind of. We drew a card each and smushed them all together. Do you know what the most dangerous tarot card is? Nah, the devil's cool. The tarot one, I mean, not the actual one. I'm not a devil worshipper. The Five of Swords. I think so anyway. There's nothing more dangerous than someone taking whatever they want, no matter the cost. Yeah, I did. Rain got the Knight of Wands, that's Dorota, and Bronwyn got the Ten of Swords, which is, well, you know, swords in general are bad. She's like my big sister, so pretty well. You know the Chief's got it all wrong. Bron could never hurt anyone, but I'm sure a smart detective like you can help prove she's innocent. Really? Because she is completely innocent. The cards told us to. Well, the cards in Rain. Tarot gives us a rough direction and he narrows it down with some astrological jiggery-pokery. He's basically a walking esoteric library. And if that sounds dull, let me reassure you, it is. No? Well, yeah. Well, no. We have a job to do. I didn't say job. I said job. Okay. We make a cheese obelisk, a chob, and depending on the shape of that chob, we get different answers to questions. No, you don't. I was in my room all night with Bronwyn. We were painting our nails. No, I mean, yeah, I've already cleaned it off.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sell that one. There's no other sport today. And we'll be back tomorrow. Poe's Curiosity Shop is now closed.
Dreams
And nightmares.
with Poe and Monroe. Now, this is a particularly interesting one. So this is coming from Marek, and they say, I'm in a circus, walking on a tightrope across a pool of sharks, but the sharks don't seem to notice me. They're busy playing poker. I fall, but I never hit the water. Now, this in particular, I think, is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Poe?
Yeah, I think it has several interesting elements to it. From the sharks, I mean, often sharks, they stand for perhaps some danger that's lurking. It's 6 o'clock, and you're listening to Radio August. Police investigating the murder of Dorota Shaw are appealing to the community to help catch her killer. The body of 21-year-old Miss Shaw, an accomplished cellist, was found in her home last night. Police are describing the murder as a violent and despicable act. Monroe?
It's just terrible. Meanwhile, out of respect for the victim and her family, this weekend's Tulip Festival has been postponed. New dates will be announced shortly, so do stay tuned to Radio August for updates.
I heard Dorota Shaw was due to play this weekend.
At the Tulip Festival?
Indeed. I understand why they'd want to postpone it. Tonight the weather will be mostly dry and warm, but be on the lookout for dark clouds on the horizon, as there may be scattered showers. Best take an umbrella, Monroe, so you don't get wet.
I like getting wet. That's 6 o'clock with Poe and Monroe. What else do you need?
Oh yeah, you need to balance. You need the balance.
Do exactly. That's exactly right. So what the typebook refers to is actually the balance in your life. Now, you were exactly spot on.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn.
Miss Marek, you need to take a step back, I think, in this case.
Very good.
Thank you for your dream.
Ron, are you okay?
I'm not okay. I'm okay. I'm not okay.
Well, if you're worried, I should be worried. Why are you worried? Should I be worried?
Are you worried?
Only if you are. This could go on in circles for a while. Let's just keep cool and stay in our rooms.
Some people might interpret them as animals.
But there's 4 figures on it. Perhaps.
Find somewhere safe to transition. You're not a superhero.
Hi, I'm Lexi. I'm Lexi.
Mangle.
A mangle?
Yeah.
For clothing?
Yeah. Its only job is literally to flatten.
What's up, Lexi? I'm sensing something's on your mind.
I'm worried about our alibi.
Don't worry about that. We don't have anything to hide. I'm more worried about Ray. Since when did he start praying?
You think he's lying? You think he's lying?
Of course not. This is Rain we're talking about. I was just saying it's odd, that's all. Maybe he's found God?
Now we're nosed. Welcome to Poe's Curiosity Shop. Alice, this object that I've just handed to you, what do you...
Hi, Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
Made of, I think, metal. I think it's metal.
Who knows whether you've made the right decision or not, Claude?
How's Bronwyn been?
Overly nice. She's covering her tracks well if she has anything to hide.
What was it I asked you to do again?
You just told me to report back to you if I noticed anything suspicious. Good grief, Claude, you're a bit young to be losing your marbles already.
What were you doing last night?
Claude, we've been through this. I honestly don't remember. I checked my diary and there's no entry, so I was probably here, as always.
How can you not remember, Violet?
I think it's the pills I'm on. Dosage isn't right.
It's now nosed. Welcome to Poe's Curiosity Shop.
Hello, I'm Rain. I'm Rain. Okay.
Kind of looks like a bell shape,
Mm-hmm, yeah.
like a wooden bell with a large handle.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a non-functional wooden bell.
Yeah.
Have you met the new detective yet? We're basically under 24-hour surveillance now.
Do you think Sam's onto us?
Onto what exactly?
The real reason we're here.
Sam's not a mind reader. At least I don't think so. Just try not to let anything slip.
Well, that's what the man down the pub told me.
That's incredible.
Poe's Curiosity Shop is now renowned.
Contagion by Ashley Van Hesteren. Read by Adam Day. The demon really did spread like a virus. Easier, probably. A virus needs contact. Shared air, a passing germ, a gentle touch. But this monster was not that limited.
Hello, I'm Violet. I'm Violet.
Of a phenomenon, so much ritual, so much awful curiosity. It made
Mrs. Gallagher, an unexpected pleasure.
How long are you planning to be here?
In town? I really don't know. Until the tarot tells us to leave, or you kick us out, obviously.
How did you know Dorota was going to die? Why do you think the police suspect Bronwyn?
Now that's a very good question. Logically speaking, you'd assume all three of us were in on it. Or none of us.
Until the virus got her, until the sickness spread, the demon could only enjoy that.
What's going on, Violet? Is everything okay?
Yes, I'm okay. No, I'm not okay.
What's the matter?
The new detective's acting strangely.
That's to be expected. I told Sam to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Maybe strange is one of those things. Off you go. I'm being subtle. I don't want to see you back here, okay? You got anything to report, give me a call. Any problems, talk to Danny. Danny, remember?
Danny?
We just talked about this. I said I'd post somebody this morning, and I did. Then I told you it was Danny. Take the pills, Violet. Take the pills.
That first girl, she was no different. She was nearly there already without the demon's whispers. There was so little light left to feast on in her world, in her every moment of calm, every smile, every rest.
Hi, I'm Lexi. I'm Lexi.
Burning in her chest, the weight on her shoulders, the pain from the demon's whispers.
Something's weird, isn't it? Ron seems strange today.
How are you?
Do you think Dorota was planning on marrying Oscar?
What makes you say that?
Well, nothing. It was just something I thought I saw. It doesn't matter.
See the light at the end, and she was afraid as much as calm. "Take my ring," she'd say. "I know I love it." They never do. All humans don't want to die, but more than So she succumbed to the sickness, or tried at least. Girls almost never get it right on the...
It's 6 o'clock and you're listening to Radio August. Police investigating the murder of Dorota Shaw are appealing to the community to help catch her killer. The body of 21-year-old Miss Shaw, an accomplished cellist, was found in her home last night. Police are describing the murder as a violent and despicable act. Monroe?
It's just terrible. Meanwhile, out of respect for the victim and her family, this weekend's Tulip Festival has been postponed. New dates will be announced shortly, so do stay tuned to Radio August for updates.
I heard Dorota Shaw was due to play this weekend.
At the Tulip Festival?
Indeed. I understand why they'd want to postpone it. Tonight the weather will be mostly dry and warm, but be on the lookout for dark clouds on the horizon, as there may be scattered showers. Best take an umbrella, Monroe, so you don't get wet.
I like getting wet. That's 6 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
Until he wasn't. More time and the girl tried again. Nothing got better for her.
Who are you? Right, because the local police are so rubbish. It's been a day, a whole day. It's typical of them. Yeah, I went round there in the afternoon. Her parents were at work, and we were, hanging out. I left at about 5. Playing football. It was just 5-a-side. Finished at about 9:30. I called her, but she never picked up. Not much. They always seemed happy to see me. I don't think they meant it. They wanted Dorota to focus on her music. Not long, a couple of months maybe. But we did care for each other. No one. She was really popular. What, you mean watching us? That's disturbing. No, it couldn't have been. The only place you could have hidden would be in the closet, and I suppose someone could have hidden in the closet. Not hidden. Well, she liked it. Liked me to watch. Not other guys. Just, she had these, voyeur fantasies. She'd ask me to hide in the upstairs closet. And then she'd walk in and strip off. Start touching herself. She got upset if I came out before she'd finished. I'm sorry, is this helping with the investigation? Clothes, mainly. I did see something that freaked me out a bit. She had a wedding dress in there. She knew I'd seen it, but we never talked about it. Not even as a joke.
They didn't make it as easy with that boy.
Any more news on Oscar Wainwright? Yep, that's what he told me too. Not a suspect. Just the tarot readers. No one else is remotely suspicious compared to them. Dorota's an only child. She lived with her mum and dad. Monday night was movie night, so they'd go and watch the 8 o'clock at the Odeon. Dorota would get the house to herself. They're devastated, naturally. They left town to stay with relatives. They didn't do it, Sam. Although, perhaps I should have made them stay. Rain says he was praying in his room, alone. Nobody corroborates. Bronwyn and Lexi say they were in the same room last night. Shame they can't agree which one. Oscar's not a suspect. He was playing football last night with lots of witnesses. According to Oscar, Dorota had a wedding dress in her closet, which is strange. Violet says she doesn't remember last night, but I've got that in hand. That's it.
Full of awful curiosity.
dream.
She flaunts herself. Her body. Had boudoir photographs taken. Who do you think those photos were for, Sam? Her mother? Not really, just gossip. Apparently she went to have some portrait photos done and started stripping off. Weston's photographic. Zach Weston. He'll get himself into trouble one of these days. If you keep taking pictures of pretty girls in their underwear, somebody's going to get upset. Vicar's son? No, as far as I can tell, Oscar is a good boy. But we've all got different faces now, haven't we, Sam? Know about you? Or what is there to know about you, Sam? I just mean people have an act. A facade. Oscar seems nice, but for all I know, he tears pretty girls apart. Zach's the local photographer. You should go and talk to him, Sam. You're good at talking. At Weston's photographic? Off the high road? It's late, but he's always there. I have a good memory. I'm still holding grudges from when I was 4.
Yes, I've forgotten who they are. Oh, Robin. That sounds like quite a horrible one to wake up to every day. What do you think, Poe? What do you think this perhaps could represent?
Well, Monroe, I think with the photos and the family, so I think there is perhaps Robin has a willingness or wish to read.
Oh, she gets easily confused. Youth of today. No, Sam. No, I'm not lying about that. I was in my room, only Lexi, she never came to see me. She was in her room. I could hear her, though. She was shouting at someone. Yes, he came to see me. He wanted to know that she was okay, spiritually speaking. No, I wouldn't know how. I'm a tarot reader, not a medium. Maybe I should have pretended, though. Made up some fake message from her to give him some comfort. You lie once, and you just have to keep going, don't you? To protect Lexi. None of this is her fault, and she gets anxious easily. I was just trying to take the pressure off. I'm sorry, Sam. I never usually lie. I was logged into Tarotasm. It's a phone reading service, and I get paid by the minute. Which, now that I'm saying it, it's not something I really should be bragging about.
To the sadness.
Well, I hope so, Robin, and thank you for your dreams.
Sam, what can I do for you? We didn't. Lexi used a Ouija board to get the name. It kinda did. It's hard getting an exact name out of 78 cards. But considering we'd never heard of Dorota Shaw, it painted a pretty good picture otherwise. No. Lexi needs to give it context from the tarot reading. A lot of the time it comes up with nothing. Or a sordid comment directed at Lexi. I think that's why she keeps using it, to be honest. Once we thought there was going to be a murder, Lexi used the Ouija board to find out the victim's name. It spelled out Dorota. This is going to sound weird. Most people believe Ouija boards contact the dead. So if Lexi contacts a dead person, that person needs to know what happens in the future. Ergo, maybe the person she's contacting is from the future. A time traveller who died here. You don't believe me? Well, ask Lexi or Bron. They've got their own ideas, but my theory is definitely the more plausible. We're trying to save people. Birmingham. We couldn't save anyone there either. The problem with travellers is... well, let's put a pin in this one, Sam. Let me ask Bronwyn. If she says it's okay to talk about it, it's okay to talk about it.
And then when she opens her eyes, it's not her. So,
Hi Sam, back for more already? No, I think Bronwyn met him though. This morning. He only wanted to see her. I guess he didn't want anyone else to hear what he had to say. I didn't. How did you find out? Am I in trouble? Bron was worried about me not having an alibi. She was logged in doing phone readings, so she's alright. But there's nothing to prove that I was here. I was though, cross my heart and hope to die. Oh, it's just your run-of-the-mill spirit communication device. Want to know how it works? Cool, okay. So Ouija boards send us messages from the spirit world, right? But where is the spirit world? I mean, there's planets and stars in space. The spirit world must be really far away beyond all that. With so far to travel, messages from the spirit world must take ages to get here. Like how light from the sun takes 8 minutes or something to reach us. You still with me? Oh, you're sweet. Where was I? Oh, so here's my point. The spirit world is actually several hours ahead of us. That's how we get messages about things that haven't happened yet. That's how we got Dorota's name. Because in the spirit world, she was already dead. I know, mind-blowing. Traveller, that's a really old role-playing game, isn't it? Oh, did he now? Well then, you know what I know. I guess you must be a part of our inner circle. How does it feel? Cheeky? Are you flirting with me? Oh dear, am I blushing again? There's a murder to solve. Maybe you should do that first, then me. No, not like that.
Her fall, but the demon knew. Sooner or later she would, and there would be a tidal wave.
Your ability isn't endless. It will run out at some point.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn.
The young, susceptible, high-risk groups already have a home for the demon in their heart. Most people do anyway.
You can tell Sam about Birmingham. What did you...
I told them the truth, that I was in my room. I'm not sure if they can fact-check it, but it's the only alibi I've got. Kind of wish we'd all stuck together now.
When should we do another reading? The police...
Looks that way. Have you been feeling possessed lately?
Why possessed?
Sorry, too soon.
You can tell Sam about Birmingham.
Well, what can I tell Sam that you haven't already?
You know Sam likes a fact check.
I don't really know Sam. But if you're sure, then I guess I'm sure.
Night after night. When she...
Oh, Bron, I'm so glad you're here. We need to talk.
Is something wrong?
No one can hear us, right? I mean, I'm assuming this room isn't bugged, although knowing Violet, there's probably cameras everywhere.
You think Violet's a voyeur?
Probably. I don't know. She has that look about her, don't you think? Like she knows something she's not letting on. I wouldn't be surprised if there's cameras hidden in the wardrobe.
What have you got to hide?
Nothing. Though I'd rather she didn't see me dancing around in my underwear. I only do that for people I love.
Do you love me?
Of course I do, Bron. See? And now that's on film. I hope you enjoyed that, Violet. Listen, we need to talk about our alibi.
What about our alibi?
I know you said it would be better if we said we were together, but lying about your alibi, that's pretty serious. Are you sure it was a good idea?
We should do whatever it takes.
You're acting like we've got something to hide. Bron, is there something you're not telling me? Why'd you ask me to lie? Were you really in your room all night?
Yes. No.
Where were you? Bron, don't mess me around, you're scaring me.
I'm just kidding, I was here all night. I was at Dorota's house.
No. No, you weren't. I don't know why you're saying that, but I know Bronwyn Castle and she's no murderer. Just drop the act.
And the bottle opened in her hands. It'll be over. It'll be over.
Not now, Bron. I'm fine. You're just being a bit annoying.
No more. But of course there was more.
Hi, I'm Lexi. I'm Lexi.
And the demon was quieted for a while, until he wasn't. More time and the girl...
Dorota had a boyfriend.
Oscar, the guy I met this morning? The one I told you about. Yes.
What did he want?
Answers. Reassurance. Forgiveness.
Do you think he killed her?
Not considering what he asked me to do.
Poor soul to bear, tore her apart and bled out with her. But the virus wasn't quite spreading yet. That death alone...
I feel sad for Oscar.
Bronwyn said to stay away from him and the family. We're drawing too much attention to ourselves. We won't be able to finish our job.
Job?
Are you wearing a wire? You know why we're here. Don't make me say it.
Say it.
No. Stop being silly.
The voice and let them spread. A boy this time. Good. They were more successful.
Hello. I'm Rain. I'm Rain.
He didn't. The demons are already there. They just need...
Rain, can I help?
About last...
Was there a problem?
My tap was dripping, but I fixed it. Where were you?
Dripping? Maybe I was in my bedroom. That's out of bounds to you.
The rivers flow with an empty kind of longing once.
Don't forget the group reading, Ray. By which I mean, if you see Lexi, tell her not to forget the group reading.
What's the plan?
We still don't know what we're dealing with. There's every chance that it could just be a normal human murder.
What if it's not a normal human...
Then we have to assume that it's some kind of traveller.
Like in Birmingham?
Yeah, like in Birmingham.
Third. The next was another boy, slight for his age, light...
What do you think of Sam?
Oh, I'll totally hit that. Apart from the whole investigating Bronwyn for murder thing, of course. But that's a minor flaw. I can work around it.
I hear Sam likes you too.
Really? Well, you know, I'm not surprised. I am a total babe.
Choked with him, draped from the branches like flower pots hanging from a funeral home ceiling.
Hi, I'm Lexi. Oh, I'm Lexi.
Always spread like a virus from person to person, with no touch, no shared air, full of awful curiosity.
You're listening to Radio August.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn.
The pasty roll of fat that bulged over the waist of her jeans.
I'm truly sorry about Dorota.
I didn't really know her. I saw her pictures in the newspaper. Can't remember what for right now.
I didn't see you here last night.
What are you implying?
It's just suspicious.
I didn't even know the girl. You predicted her murder. Who's more suspicious?
Before was different. Before, Mother was there. Giving up, are we? She said, as...
Didn't expect you to come back. Have you contacted Dorota?
No. Yes. She forgives you. Yes.
She said what? Why would she say that? She'd never have said that. Why are you lying to me?
I'm probably confused. So she said...
I knew. Maybe it's someone I know? Is that what she means?
I'm sorry the police ignored our prediction.
It's okay, just... How did you know? How did you come up with a name and then... she's gone?
She's not gone. She's waiting to pass. How?
The usual way? The front door. Like, it's a townhouse and she's on the 3rd floor. So, other than teleporting or a big ladder, that's the only way.
Do you get on with Dorota?
Not really. Especially not now. They're convinced I got her into the wrong crowd or something. Am I really a bad influence?
Yes.
Thanks, Bronwyn. I know it's a bit soon, but maybe we can grab coffee sometime? Just to chat about things.
No thanks. Yeah.
I like you, Bronwyn. How about soon? How about tonight? I can come to the guest house?
No, you can't.
So it's a date? Sort of. I'll see you soon. Hi. Hey. Hello. Sorry, I'm not used to dating so soon.
I'm actually not in the mood anymore. It's okay.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I was thinking on doing anything, physical.
Get up on the bed. It's okay.
Thanks, Bronwyn. I'm still trying to make sense of it all. I noticed I've got some Earl Grey in the hallway. I know it sounds a bit rude, but I'd really like some if you wouldn't mind.
Sure, I'll be right back.
Just thin skin and hard bones. And then, after a while, not even that.
Welcome to Poe's Curiosity Shop. Okay, Alice, this is what I brought in today. What do you think it is?
I'm Oscar. Is there anything else I can do?
Wearing robes, and he looks like he's in quite a lot of pain.
Yes. Where could he be?
I'm not sure, actually. He's maybe a Buddhist?
Yeah, could be, yes.
Something religious, I suppose. He's wearing robes, he's wearing...
Oscar Wainwright, what a surprise.
Porcelain figure, ancient Chinese, seated and howling.
Oh.
It's called the Screaming Monk, called Busan, accidentally glimpsed Queen Anchisenamun undressing.
Hello, I'm Violet. I'm Violet.
Things are best left unseen. Several were made, apparently. But as far as I can...
I changed your sheets last night, and you weren't here.
That door was locked, and you said there's only one key. So how would you know?
And Monroe. So, Robin's had this dream recently. I'm looking through I don't recognize anyone in the photos. I'm trying to remember their names, but I can't. They're all standing around me, and they're all crying because I've forgotten who they are. Oh, Robin. That sounds like quite a horrible... Poe, what do you think this...
Violet.
Monroe, I think with the photos and the family, so I think there is perhaps Robin connects with her family, but it's...
Hi, Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
Maybe have not attended to their family as they...
Why is Sam still questioning me? Do I need to bring up Mr. Hedges again?
Are you threatening me?
Excuse me? Of course not. We just agreed that with the meds I'm on, stuff like this might get out. Remember?
Overwhelmed. But in this case, family represents feeling warm and loved.
You have a recognizable knock, Chief DuPont. I'll remember not to answer next time.
Do you know Dorota's boyfriend?
I've met him once, yes.
Just the once?
Unless I've got a body double walking around, yes. Just the once. We talked in confidence. You'll need to ask him if you want the juicy details.
I know it, by the sounds of it, this dream feels very sad, and it feels like it's full of grief. Rob, so many of us that go through situations like this, so similar to yours, but you love.
You're so right, Monroe, and I think just by hearing your words, I think Robin can take heart and can...
Chief DuPont, there's been loads of people coming around asking questions. I don't even know half of them.
Did Dorota collect coins?
Not that I know of. She collected thimbles. She said she didn't need any. She had hard calluses on her fingers from all the cello.
Have you looked in Dorota's bedroom?
Not since the murder. There's still a load of my stuff in there. I'd climb in through the window, but it's on the 3rd floor.
So, it feels heavy again. And I want to say, it's wooden.
Yes.
And handle.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a non-functional wooden bell.
Yeah, but it's heavy, like really.
It's heavy. It's in fact an Egyptian maul, which was used. It's approximately 4,500 years old and comes from an ancient burial.
It's Lexi's. I like to think it works the way most metaphysical things work, through energy. Tarot cards, runes, Ouija boards, they're just devices for asking questions and receiving answers, but energy is what powers them.
Tell the listeners a bit more about what the object is that I brought in today.
So it's quite small. And it's a small man wearing robes, and he looks like he's in... It's 7 o'clock, and here's the latest August update. Chief DuPont of August Police is urging residents to be vigilant tonight following the brutal murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Whilst he stresses there is no immediate threat to the community at large, residents should be on the lookout until the killer is in police custody. Miss Shaw was found strangled in her bedroom home last night. Poe, I heard she was found by her mother.
Truly awful. Mother caught me up to all sorts of mischief in my bedroom. Also in the news, emergency services were called to the crossroads at Grange Avenue and Church Street following a collision between 2 cars. There are no reports of any serious injuries, but you might want to take a different route for now.
Oh no. It's going to be one of those nights, Poe.
Stay with me, doll. I'll keep you safe.
I'm not going anywhere. That's 7 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
I can tell I have the only one.
Well, I wish I hadn't seen this.
Sorry, we're closed. Come back tomorrow or make an appointment online. Yes. What do you want? The Shaws. Oh, you mean that girl who got killed? What was her name? Dorothy? I see a lot of faces in my studio, but I'm not good with names. Wait. Dorota, I remember now. For the August Chronicle, she won some sort of award. I remember her cello. It kept reflecting the flash and ruining the shot. No, I went to her house, along with the reporter. It's better with these human interest stories to capture them in a natural habitat. If you ask me to drive there without my sat-nav, no. No, actually, I've been running a special offer on portraits since she came in for a studio session. Wait there. see. There's photos here. Her on the cello. Yeah. Now this one's in colour. Beautiful hair. Oh, legs wrapped around. Another one here. Ooh, hang on. Do you see what I see? Nothing. She's just a very attractive girl. That's all. What do you mean? Violet needs to mind her own business. I didn't want to mention them out of respect for the dead. You've heard of boudoir photography. Dorota saw my boudoir set and asked me to take some shots. It's all very tasteful. A lot of women have them done as gifts for their husbands or boyfriends. Or girlfriends, I suppose. She didn't say. Her boyfriend, I assume. Friends? Yeah. Violet takes it very well, actually. I like him like that. With a frosty exterior comes a soft, warm center. I'm sorry my analogy wasn't explicit enough for you. Yes, we have sex. Here. I'm usually here most nights. Only the roof rats.
Monroe, and I think just by hearing your words.
How did you hear about that? Anyway, it wasn't a date. I was doing a favour for Chief DuPont. Only lasted a few minutes. Are you working with him or not? Look, if you didn't want to tell you, then I'm not gonna. No? Who's that? Okay, so this Zach guy was connected to Dorota. Took pictures of her. Were they sleeping together? Why did you tell me that? Every time I think of her now, I'm going to see her with someone else. Her what? Boudoir photos? She sent some private photos to me by phone. Do you mean them? I get it now. That's why you're asking about Zach Weston. Maybe I should pay him a visit.
Depressing food pastes and the project's mouth.
If you have anything else on Zach Weston, let me know. That's what he says, but no one can back him up. He's on my radar now. I think you're supposed to tell me that. If he was taking photos of Dorota, maybe he fell for her? And the feeling wasn't mutual. Artists have muses, apparently. Wish I had one. And I'm all for a good boudoir picture, but who are they for? There's definitely a strong connection between those two then. Well, unless they were for Oscar, I don't know. Unless there's someone else about to come out of the woodwork.
The night sky. On the morning of his 249th day on the moon, or was it night? It was hard to tell up here. Dimitri boarded the elevator to the excavation.
I'm Oscar. Is there anything else I can do?
Hanako Yutani and Dr. Wolfgang Whitfield were all experts in their fields,
those being paleontology, linguistic.
Sensing the thing with Bronwyn went badly.
Why did you put me up to it?
I need all hands on deck. You're a hand. At least I thought you were.
Nothing happened.
Never mind. At least you tried.
Is there anything else I can do?
No, you've done enough. I'll keep up my end of the bargain, make those speeding tickets go away, though technically you'd have more points than a hedgehog if I kept them. And if I do catch you speeding in August again, Oscar, instant ban. Capiche?
Yes.
It's language. That makes me look cool. You can go now.
Long before the dawn of the first man, been able to ascertain about their mystifying discovery, and the four scientists knew there was much more to be done. More probes down the hole in order to determine how much deeper it went. For the last 14 days, much to Dimitri's growing frustration, Dimitri started to wonder if the pit even had a bottom. And if it did. Is it really wise to send more probes down the hole?
Hello, I'm Violet. I'm Violet.
Different results? Are you calling us insane? Do you have another suggestion, Dr. Yutani? Dimitri blurted out. We could send a person down there. One of us, perhaps. The others eyed him with concern. I'm not sure that's wise. In the thoughts of the other two sides. Well, hello, gorgeous.
Did you hear about Dorota?
Well, that explains why there was no answer when I called you. I was definitely here. Everyone in town's heard. She's a local celebrity now.
Local celebrity?
Violet? Of course not. I only have eyes for you.
That's not what I heard.
This again. I told you, I'm not seeing anyone else. I have gorgeous women in my studio all the time, but you're special. Not because you won't take off your clothes, I'm expecting that at some point. It's just, you're so clever and well educated. And the icing on the cake, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever met. And with that, to meet Dr. Sheffield, do you read me? Dimitri was startled by the sudden voice in his ear. He'd almost forgotten about the earpiece he was wearing. Yes, Dr. Yutani, I hear you loud and clear, he replied. Besides, we don't want you down there any longer than necessary. Neither do I.
Sam, look, I can't talk right now. I'm doing phone readings. Gotta pay for a job somehow. Lexi's locked in till 8 too. I can sort you out afterwards, yeah?
Communication was still working, and to notify him of the depth of his descent.
Do we really have to? How vulgar. Yes, I suppose that is what he'd say. But I've never let him lay a finger on me. He says we're in a relationship, but he doesn't act like it. He thinks he's irresistible to women. No.
how narrow the tunnel really was. If he got stuck somehow, there was no way for any...
We've got to stop meeting like this. Seriously though, Sam, I'm working. Can't it wait? Just give me to 8, okay?
There's some scratches here. Did I do that just now? No, they're not scratches, it's...
I met him yesterday, doing the rounds, looking for reading work. Actually, oh no. He did mention Dorota. He said there was this girl he was planning to meet up with. Said she was alone every Monday night because her parents go to the cinema. Do you know what that means? It was Dorota Shaw. Fine, Sam. Birmingham. Mercury took us to Birmingham. We didn't know what for. We never really know what for. But we turned up. It started with a girl, Ginny. She was South African. I only mention it because that was its thing. Yeah. We didn't know at the time, but in hindsight, it was after South African girls. 3 to be exact. The Traveller wanted 3. You should ask Bronwyn. She's the one that knows about rights. I just know it normally involves 3, and all 3 share a common attribute. I guess you might call them demons, in as much as they can get inside us. They come from other worlds. Kind of, yeah. Quantum physics is real, didn't you know? There are many universes. In technical terms, a traveller is a trans-dimensional being far more superior to us, in as much as they can choose which reality to hang out in. We just get this one. Yes, disturbingly. It's actually a lot more complicated than that. They choose a reality/universe where they actually evolve to become the person they're possessing. So they jump in a few million years before our timelines intersect. They can't just jump into someone. It takes a few hours for that. They make the decision before they travel, which is why we can catch them. Yes, probably. The tarot doesn't just sat-nav us to normal murders.
Much to her delight and gratitude. It appeared the writing consisted of one word repeated over and over. Thanks to some earlier linguistic discovery, Charlie was able to create a rough translation of the word, or rather something that approximated it, for the wicked or curious. As people of science, they had all agreed how disturbing it was that, to the civilization that came up with this word, curiosity was a concept to be closely associated with wickedness.
Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
And switched on the light next to his bed. It wasn't working. The dark, so he instead listened intently. The whispers had stopped. All he heard now was the soft...
Chief? Again?
Did Dorota have any online?
She didn't really use any social networks. Didn't have the time. Mainly just cello.
Go to any clubs or groups?
No, she didn't email much. She checked the messages on her phone. What is it you're looking for?
Anything that helps solve them.
Okay, that makes sense.
He searched for the handle.
Hello. I know you. You're the police chief.
I understand that you knew Dorota Shaw.
We met briefly, yes. I freelanced for the August Chronicle, and they did a story about her.
Was that the first time you met her?
As far as I know. I meet a lot of people through work. Some are more memorable than others. I happened to mention my portrait services, so she booked a session with me.
When was this?
A few weeks ago.
What type of photos do you take?
For the paper? Record shots that any idiot with a phone can take. My studio is where the magic happens. Mainly portraiture, but I dabble in other areas.
Boudoir photography?
No. I do have a boudoir set though. Lots of clients like it. It's all very tasteful and above board.
I'll be looking into it.
You can sleep in it if you want. It's a proper bed. Not sure you'll find anything you're looking for though.
But home was a million miles away. He knew he was alone here, and no one would be coming to help him. It was again whispering to him. As the murmurs grew louder, Dimitri was in a language wholly unknown to him, or any other man. It's hard. The bone. Dimitri covered his ears to make it stop, but the nameless voices only grew more incessant, hounding.
I'm Zach Weston. Just sharpening my powers of persuasion.
Sheffield? Dimitri was suddenly startled by the...
Zach! What are you doing here? Quick, don't let anyone see you.
Why don't you want anyone to see me?
What? You're the one who said we shouldn't be seen together. What are you doing here?
I wanted to make sure we were still okay.
What did you do? What did you say to Sam?
Everyone's talking about Dorota.
I know. But I suppose people like that attract trouble.
People like what?
Homewreckers. Anyway, I hope you didn't just come here to talk about Dorota.
Are you happy Dorota's dead?
I didn't say that. But we both know what Dorota was like. She practically threw herself at you.
She didn't throw herself at me.
Don't play games with me, Zach. You know how insecure I get.
more surprised and impressed by his linguistic knowledge. Dimitri said, his eyes wide with fear.
Zach, let me stop you there. You are one creepy fellow. Now, I don't know what you had going on with Dorota, but I don't want anything to do with it. Do not come back here. Please.
Remington? No, Dimitri replied. I'm sure. As he frantically pointed at the notes Dr. Utani was holding. Are you saying you've seen what exactly? The future? Dr. Whitfield asked. His shoulders slumped. Yes, I think so. There was a long silence, and he didn't dare guess what the others thought of him. Well, if you saw the future, what happens next? Dr. Remington asked with some trepidation. Dimitri tried...
Hello, I'm Violet. I'm Violet.
Whitfield, as he placed a hand on Dimitri's shoulder. Nothing to worry about. Empty space, his eyes filled with dread. An hour later, on the way over, Dimitri had listened to his recordings and couldn't make out anything out of the ordinary. Perhaps the others were right. Perhaps it was all just in his head. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that he had seen. A slow darkness trapped. He lay himself on bed and quickly fell asleep. He couldn't wait to go back home. Later that night, Dmitri awoke to the sound of cold and hollow whispers in the darkness. He didn't bother turning on the light this time.
Dreams
And nightmares.
with Poe and Monroe. So Simeon's written in to say, I'm climbing the stairs of a tall stone tower, and it just keeps going up and up and up, and I always wake up before I reach the top. What do you think, Poe?
Oh, that is...
Hello, I'm Rain. I'm Rain.
And they might be a little overambitious.
You have a lovely guest house.
It is quaint, isn't it? It's all my parents had when they died. We're literally sitting in my inheritance.
How did your parents die?
Father died first. Heart attack. They found him in the freezer when Mother died. She had a pulmonary embolism. I didn't really talk to them much.
Freezer?
Yes, she kept him in the chest freezer because she didn't want to be alone. Stored him perfectly. Still use it today.
Welcome to Poe's Curiosity Shop. Explain to the listeners what the object is that you...
Very, very heavy. It's wooden, and...
Correct.
It's got engravings on it. I think are they animals?
Interpret them as that.
4 figures on it, perhaps.
Rain! I'm surprised to see you here. I take it you know about Dorota already. All that stuff we talked about yesterday, that's strictly between you and me. That's the spirit. Now, I think it's best if we don't get caught speaking to each other. Overcautious, I'm sure, but I think it's for the best nonetheless. Maybe we can get together for a lad's night out after this is all blown over. Yeah?
Okay.
Great. Well, I'll see you soon.
All young women in Kiruna in the 1960s.
Oh my gosh.
They were all identical quadruplets, aged 17. Apparently, their essence remains. I personally just use it to flatten bed sheets. Poe's Curiosity Shop is now remote. It's 8 o'clock and time for another August update. Police investigating the death of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw have said there's no evidence to connect her boyfriend to the murder. Chief DuPont's statement was delivered in response to speculation from local residents that it was a crime of passion. Miss Shaw's strangled body was found by her mother around 10 p.m. last night in what the chief is calling a puzzling crime.
I can't believe people are gossiping already, Poe.
It's always the person closest to the victim, isn't that what they say?
But that poor boy. A reminder also that due to the murder, this weekend's Tulip Festival has been postponed. New dates will be announced soon. The weather's getting worse tonight with heavy rain forecast. So if you're heading out, you might want to take a jacket. Or a cab.
Or wear the jacket in the cab. That's 8 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
Sam, I've got news. We've done a reading.
It's the 5 of Swords. That's the same card as yesterday.
Let's hope it's not the Knight of Wands. This doesn't look good.
It's fine. This happens all the time. There are 78 cards in a deck. The same ones come up a lot.
I get it, but we drew the exact same cards yesterday. What are the odds of pulling all three again?
1 in 474,552. I know, I get asked a lot.
Better Ten of Swords.
It's happening again. There's going to be another murder. Then Lexi did her thing, and now we have a name. Alice Munro.
She's gone, listeners. It's amazing. No, she hasn't.
You must be Sam. I just got off the phone with Chief DuPont. I can't believe it. First Dorota, now me. Yes, we were friends. I hadn't known her for long, only a few weeks. We met at the gala. I was hosting and she was playing the cello, you know? I guess we talked for a little while and then she asked me for a drink after the show. After we'd had a few drinks, she invited me back to her house. I thought we were just gonna chat, watch a movie, that sort of thing. Then she kissed me. I was so shocked. She was so attractive. So I kissed her back. This is just between us, right? We fooled around. I don't have many friends, Sam. Everyone thinks because I'm on the radio, I have tons of friends, so nobody ever approaches me. I get lonely. But Dorota was my friend, and I liked making her happy. I'm not going into detail, Sam. We pledged each other multiple times. Oscar, yeah. She was a bit confused. When we started seeing each other, she didn't like him touching her anymore. I didn't mind, but she did. So I told her if he wanted to get sexual, then maybe she should try something else. I said some guys like to watch, so tell him it would be sexy if he could look but he couldn't touch. As far as I know, it worked. The killer was in her wardrobe? What? Well, then it had to be Oscar. He's the only one it could be. That doesn't make any sense. Then she was seeing someone else? No. Someone she knew. Knew she'd be alone? A stalker? It was her mom's. She was saving it in case she ever got married. We're co-hosts on the radio. Oh, sorry. You know that already. We've been partners for 2 years now. He's a good friend. Can't we be both, Sam? Poe's his radio name. He's actually John Poe. He's on air now, but you can come back at 8:30 if you want to see him. Poe's not a killer, Sam. He's married with kids. He's a lovely guy. Not very well. He's done a few shoots of me and Poe to promote the show. No. Zach keeps asking, but I just don't want to. Not for him, but Dorota did. She gave me the pictures as a gift. She looked amazing. No. Sorry. I did have a strange dream last night, though. My life was playing on a TV screen, and every time I did something, another version of me started playing over the first. In the end, there were so many versions it became a fog. It filled my lungs. I couldn't breathe. And then I woke up. What do you think that means, Sam? I don't know what. I mean, I'm anxious now. Maybe it was predicting Dorota's death. Or mine. That sounds reassuring. I hope it's not just words, Sam. You've kind of just asked about Dorota since you got here. Sam, you forgot your phone.
Caved easily, the thin bones crackling and fizzing. Ill as he lifted it, unveiling.
Monroe. Everyone knows her. She's a local radio star here. I always get the shot, Sam. One way or another.
until he could no longer hear his own breathing. Sat grudgingly opposite.
Sam, do me a favour, go easy on Violet. If we need to get anything out of her, let me deal with it. She'll open up to me. We've got a new target, Alice Monroe. Alice said she was in a relationship with Dorota. She kissed a girl and she liked it. She told you where John Pope, or Poe, is going to be next. Rain still says he was praying in his room, alone. You say Bronwyn and Lexi's alibis don't add up. Violet says she doesn't remember last night, but I've got that in hand. Zach Weston says he was in his studio last night. No one corroborates. And he keeps asking Ellis to pose nude. Could be motive. Oscar's in the clear. He was playing football last night. He said that Dorota had a wedding dress in her closet. Not many people would know that. That's it.
Did you order this? He asked. His voice sounded shakier than usual. Didn't I mention it? She started pulling.
Excellent work. Gold star for you. Oh, hello. This is my goddaughter, Sophia. She's only 9 and she's a maths genius.
Hello.
I have to pop to my room to get something. Be nice to her while I'm gone. Otherwise I might have to smother you in your sleep.
What's your name? I'm Sophia. Pleased to meet you. Do you want to know a secret? Violet was taken by aliens in their ship. Shh. She doesn't want anyone to know.
Sorry about that. Sophia, your mother will be here for you soon, so run along and wait. Now, Sam, how can I help you? Of course. Poe and Monroe. She's on the radio. Yes, I believe I did. She was here once for something. Don't remember now.
Sure, that they maybe have not attended to.
I've heard on the radio, but other than that, I don't know anything about her. I want to help though. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Although we can be sure of one thing. Yeah, she sounded blonde on the radio, but Mercury called her as a redhead. A little bit. What did you want to know? A rite can take many forms, but from what we know about these travelers, it seems to be performing some kind of coming-of-age ceremony. We've all known about them for hundreds of years. We just know them by different names. Demons, skinwalkers, Jack the Ripper. They're all travelers. Three is a powerful number. There's a divine balance to it in our universe anyway. But maybe it doesn't mean anything where the traveler's from. Maybe 3 is just the carry-on limit for interdimensional travel. No. I can do a reading if you want. Chariot. Is Zach a suspect? I'm sensing there's a lot of tension, pent-up frustration, like he's trying to keep everything together, and if he can just do that... I'm sorry, that's not much help to you, is it? Yes, of course, anything. Why Violet? Do you think she's in danger? You don't think she's involved, do you? Leave it with me, I'll see what I can find out. And don't worry, I'll be super discreet.
King Tut. The king ordered that Busan be shrunk by mist.
I know the name. She's off the radio. Hard to get away from it in this town. In Birmingham, it was a man called Yuri Harris. He worked as a butcher. He beheaded all 3 girls within hours of each other. And we couldn't stop it. He pleaded not guilty for reason of temporary insanity. Because he said he'd see us again. In August. Before we even knew it was a month and a place.
8 for Emma. And 1 for me.
So what's the news about Ellis? I feel so useless sitting here. I want to help. Yes, please use me. Tell me what to do. Who's that? Is he a suspect? I guess he must be. Okay, I'm on the case. Just give me a minute to get ready and I'll be off.
Before Emma reaches me. She's fast. Too fast for Jimmy to hit. She tore straight.
You're only alive because we want you to be.
Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
The eggheads on smoke break told Jimmy that the Emma project had failed.
Claude?
Violet, there's been a UFO sighted on a night that you can't remember.
Shh! Claude, I told you never to speak about this. Wait. So you think it's real?
I need you to tell Sam what happened. It'll help.
Help what? Me? I'll think about it.
The door from the west stairwell crashes open. I raise Jim.
Chief, what a surprise to see you. Again.
Why didn't you tell me Ellis was next?
I told you Dorota was first. And that didn't turn out very well, did it? Let's hope Sam does a better job than you did.
She vaults from the puddle at the base of the ramp, her hospital gown smothered in blood. I put another there, and another. The 7th. To her knees, just a few feet down slope. She raises her head.
Chief, I wanted to ask you something.
Is it about the boudoir photos?
Yeah. So it's true then?
I haven't seen them. I'm sorry.
I'm just in shock. All the time. How could she be so different? I just can't process it all.
What did you...
Am I still a suspect?
Yes. No.
Okay. Good. Listen, I think I might get out of this place soon. I need some space.
Mr. Chairman. She said.
Chief DuPont. Thanks for calling in.
I'm just checking you're safe.
At the moment, my heart's beating 1,000 times a minute and I can't sit still. Every noise or knock on the door makes me jump out of my skin, and I keep looking behind me. Is that safe?
Have I ever let you down? What's
that you're just saying you're doing things when you're not actually doing anything. What's the plan, Chief DuPont? How do we stop this from happening? How do we stop me from dying?
I stared into the hole. It spoke. Your body is nothing more than a prison for your consciousness.
Hello, I'm Violet. I'm Violet.
Yes, I understand now. It is the others I must set free.
Welcome to Poe's Curiosity Shop. Okay, Alice, this is what I brought in today. What do you think it is? Tell the listeners a bit. Brought in today.
So it's quite... hand.
Hello, lovely. Take a look at this. It's a picture of Dorota.
I don't want to see pictures of your conquests.
It's not like that. It's just a press photo. Do you see anything in it?
A girl holding a cello. What do you see?
Beautiful lady. I can make you look like that, Violet. You just need to let me.
Legend has it that this monk called Busan accidentally glimpsed Queen Anchisenamun undressing, the wife of King Tut. The king ordered that Busan be shrunk by
Hi, I'm Bronwyn.
As I can tell, I have the only one.
Well,
Do you believe Tara can predict things now?
I'm not one for mystics and crystal balls. I'm a Virgo.
It says you're lying about your alibi.
Oh, I suppose it has a 50-50 chance of getting it right.
anyone in the photos. I'm trying to remember their names, but I can't. And then standing around me and they're all crying because I've forgotten who they are.
Bron, what are we going to do about Ellis?
What would you do about Ellis?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Let's think. What have we tried before?
The few times we've caught up with the Traveller, nothing's worked.
Talking to them? Killing? Restraining them?
If we lock up the killer until Mercury tells us Ellis is safe, that could work. But who is the killer?
Ellis. Zach, Violet, Oscar, Sam, Chief to Rain. Chief to Paul. Sam. Oscar. Violet. Oscar.
I'd happily restrain him, but he has a rock-tight alibi.
Just by hearing your words, I think Robin can take heart and can understand what's going on. I think that already
The Bag Lady by David F. Schultz, read by Venomous Platypus. I want to stay hidden. Cowering in the closet, peering through the crack. The loft.
Who are you? What are you doing in my house? Get out now before I call the police!
Dimly lit in blue, through the tall glass windows that span the wall were many distant pinpricks of white, the lights of the city. It was cold. The room gave the impression of a fish tank, with twilight blue through the long windows and the Bag Lady floating, as if suspended in currents of unseen water. The Bag Lady changed form, not just undulations of hair or clothes.
Hello, I'm Rain.
Each topped with an eyeball, only they weren't.
Who is Sophia?
You saw her, did you? She's my goddaughter, at that age where she overshares.
Is she a ghost?
What makes you say that, Rain? Is there something about her aura?
Expanse of the room. Footsteps echoed on wood. The spinal...
What is it, Ray?
I have a plan.
You do? Enlighten me.
Maybe Ellis should stay with us.
With our track record. If she gets killed anywhere near us, we'll be sent to jail, whether we did it or not.
That's cold.
I'm just being practical. Ellis's fate is in our hands. Ours isn't.
And an alternative to death was offered. It wouldn't eat me, at least.
Hi, Rain. Did you miss me while I was gone?
So?
I'm honestly not going to try and worry about this one. We've told Sam, and I think that's all we can do.
Really?
I believe Sam is going to save Ellis. According to the Ouija, this could play out in a lot of different ways, but mostly saving Ellis.
What other ways?
Ellis could run, Ellis could die, Ellis could be saved, mistaken identity, someone else dies. There's a lot of noise coming from the beyond, but it's not just a load of voices saying Ellis will die. Sam's got this.
Was an approximation of its first victim, a homeless lady named Bethany. Bethany had lived a life of addiction, prostitution as her market value, in an empty penthouse lair.
Haven't you done enough predicting my death?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just kidding. I know it's not your fault. Well, unless you're the killer.
Have you made a decision about the show?
I think it's a no. Sorry. It's just the reading that you gave me the other day. I don't want to scare off the audience.
Why would I scare off your listeners?
They don't want to hear talk of death and darkness. Well, they do, if it's in a story. But you can't tell them they're going to die.
I said you were going to die?
You didn't say you're going to die, just like that, but I remember the death card. And the devil. And you said it was... What was the word you used? My challenge. That I needed to die so I could be free from my chains. I know you said it doesn't mean a literal death, but maybe it does.
Probed. The worm didn't go down, but up into my nasal cavity, and then up further until it was crawling inside my brain. Panic, panic! And gradually, as the worm settled, panic made way for dread. The worm was inside my skull, inside my brain. The bag lady drifted back to the center of the room.
Hi, I'm Ellis. I'm Ellis.
Curious about starting with feet. So I went and relayed my thoughts through the worm in my brain. Small talk with the servers at the restaurant. Incessantly. Not these ones, the worm had to be told as people strolled past on the sidewalk. Not this one, the worm had to be told. Asset management. The eyes of the people I spoke. The worm looked at us both, increasingly impatient. And maybe the people sensed it. Sensed something was wrong, just behind my eyes. But they didn't comprehend.
I'm Oscar. Is there anything else I can do?
Refrain. Not this one. What's special about this one? The answer was nothing, which may have been precisely the point. How about something to eat, I said, or the words. Together. A jingle of corn in the conversation. A talk about his life and to find that his name was George. George.
Oscar Wainwright. Heard so much about you.
Were you sleeping with Dorota?
No. Were you? She just asked me to watch. We didn't even get past the adverts.
You watched her?
Yes, I watched her. You know she's into that. That can't be news to you.
George wanted to know if I was the...
Oscar, good. You got my message. Got some things to show you.
What have you got?
Does, this mean anything to you?
That's Dorota.
And what if I showed you this?
Alice Monroe.
Do you know her?
She's from the radio.
And if I do this? No? Anything?
What are you doing?
That'll be all. You can go now.
Oscar, I'm so sorry. What can I do?
Were you seeing Dorota?
Oscar, it's so much more complicated than that.
Why didn't you save her? Is it
Oscar, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. That's not who I am. I go out of my way to help people, to be kind to them.
So were you helping or being kind?
I had feelings for her, Oscar. You should understand that. I'm sorry this is how you had to hear it. But maybe she didn't tell you because she was leaving me. I don't know. I'm sorry. I truly am.
I forgive you.
How?
Maybe if I knew what Dorota saw in you, it'd help.
What do you mean?
We should sleep together.
That's fair. I'll just freshen up, and you can put it in me while I think of Dorota's cold, lifeless body. That way, at least one of us is still thinking of her. You can go now. Because actually, it's dealing with something that's quite emotional, because the imagery of the lake, actually, it relates to your emotional state of mind. And now, the black hair in this dream actually also...
I'm Zach Weston, just sharpening my powers of persuasion.
Secret about someone else that you have. Perhaps it's something that you share, and it's something that you have in common.
I need to talk about Ellis Monroe.
What have you been doing with Ellis Monroe?
What haven't I been doing?
The tarot readers have predicted that she's the next victim. Do you think we should do something?
Want to fool around?
Is that really all you think about? It's starting to look like August has a serial killer targeting redheads. Look at my hair, Zach. Does this look red to you?
Slowly down the street, leaning heavily on his tripod-ended walking stick. He paused his thin body as the bitter east wind blew litter around his spindly legs. His fingers, then resumed his painful progress. From the door, young men watched. The low cloud had brought the day to a premature dusk, and the cold wind had driven people off the streets, and this youths nodded to each other.
Zach, what are you doing here?
I've been a naughty boy. I need to tell my previous partners.
Good to know. I'm not one of them, though, so... Unless there's anything else?
Pose for me.
Zach, please stop asking. It's not gonna happen.
Just, undo a few buttons, yeah?
Are you bullying me into taking my clothes off for you? That's sleazy. Just leave, Zach, before I call Chief DuPont.
So I did it. Long after midnight, I went down to the churchyard where the winos hung out. There was a good chance one of them would be sleeping it off in some quiet, sacred corner. I found...
Hi, I'm Lexi. I'm Lexi.
8 earthquakes shattered my world. I took an overdose enough to kill me 5 times over. I suspect I survived. I spent 7...
Sorry, we're closed. Unless you're here for something else.
I'm a friend of Dorota's.
Dorota. I'm sorry about what happened.
Dorota told me things about you. Can I come in? Dorota told me... Can I come in? Dorota told me...
Things? That's ominously vague. I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Lexi.
Lexi? I like it. It's got an edge.
Dorota says she knew you. You're dating Violet, aren't you? I know what you did to Dorota.
I didn't do anything to Dorota.
You killed her. You seduced her.
You make it sound so sordid. Dorota didn't do anything she didn't want to.
Dorota says she knew you.
Yeah, she had a portrait session with me. Can I get you a drink?
No thanks.
Here, I've only got vodka. You're old enough to drink, right?
Of course.
Just checking. Have you ever thought about dyeing your hair red? I think it would suit you.
You're dating Violet, aren't you?
No, we're just friends.
That's not what you told Sam. That's not.
Violet doesn't always see things clearly. It's fine. I know how to handle her.
Doesn't see what clearly? What do you mean?
I know how to talk to her. She's a sweetheart when you get to know her.
Quiet corner than he. From the clatter of the footsteps, there was only one person following me. That is good. I don't know how many the beast could take. I want. It was worse the second time.
I don't really want to. About a month ago, the guest house was empty and I was alone in my bedroom. All I could hear was dripping. A cold tap. Drip. 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 And then it began. I could smell iron, a strong metallic smell. Then I could taste it on my tongue. And then weightlessness, like time and space had stopped. That was the first time they took me. It's happened 5 times, even on clozapine. I get that strange aura, then I'm gone. I had tests for epilepsy, amongst other things. But all the scans were normal. No. I have certain flashbacks. It's difficult to explain. I'm stuck in the wall of an enormous room made from these wooden vines, except the vines slowly move and drip with pain. My head is pushed out like I'm a trophy. If I look to my side, there are others' heads, all prisoners, being experimented on. They rearrange us like decorations, suck us backwards into the darkness and then thrust us back through the wall. And when they return me home, I'm broken. Cuts. Bruises. Memories. She has a wicked imagination for her age. I was seeing and hearing things that weren't there. That's why I'm taking pills. I needed to confide in someone, so I told Chief Dupont. Just Chief Dupont. And now you, apparently. Why are you talking about this again? You understand, every time you mention abduction, it opens up a vault of crushing memories that I'd rather stay locked up.
Inches, big enough to skewer an elephant. And I relax and open the gates, let the slayer come through. Ringside seat as the Terminator, or...
It's 9 o'clock and you're listening to Radio August. Investigations into the murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw are continuing this evening. Miss Shaw was found dead in her home at approximately 10 p.m. last night in what police are describing as a puzzling case. Residents are urged to be cautious until the perpetrator is caught. I cannot stress this enough, August. Stay safe out there. You mean the world to me. In other news, Monroe has been detained on urgent business, so you're stuck with me until she returns. Never fear, Monroe fans. We still have lots of pre-recordings, so you can relax with her angelic tones. That's 9 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
Is drawing in.
You're the detective. Monroe just called. This is madness. Who would want to hurt her? We've worked together for years. She's the light to my shade, the angel to my demon, the diamond to my lump of coal. She told me to say all those things. I believe not. She has a big heart, and in my opinion, opens it too easily. Only a madman, or woman. Monroe is August's sweetheart. Poe and Monroe, that was her idea. Our show. We were just another local radio station before that. It was Monroe who decided we should have a theme. Dark Nights with Poe and Monroe. Don't tell me you haven't heard it, detective. That's what the Free Radio Project is all about. Uniting August via the airwaves. Monroe's been delivering free radios anywhere people might want to listen. Doctor surgeries, hairdressers, the guest house. I believe she charmed the local electrical store into donating them, in exchange for free advertising, of course. We interviewed her about her scholarship not too long ago. Do you think whoever killed Dorota plans to kill Monroe? What makes you think she's in danger? Tarot. Does this have anything to do with the gentleman who stopped by? I didn't get his name, I'm afraid. He offered to do a spot on our show, doing tarot readings to answer listener questions. We said we'd think about it. You know, this town is fascinating. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Have you ever read up on the real history of August? The official story is that Mary August retired from a life on the high seas, found a nice spot here, and used her ill-gotten gains to establish a town. But that's not what really happened. It's true that Mary August was a pirate, but she didn't retire. Her ship was sunk on the rocks just off the coast. Mary and all of her crew sought refuge in a small fishing town, this one. They slaughtered everyone, men, women, and children, all dead and dismembered in their own homes. The bodies were dumped in a mass grave. Well, the body parts. And the pirates moved in. No one knows. It seems at some point it was built over and then forgotten about. It could be under the school, or the church, or right beneath our feet. On that note, I should probably get back to the booth. The show must go on. Death threats be damned. Look after Monroe, detective. She's the only Monroe I've got.
It is very creepy, but it's kind of my territory.
Hey, I'm going. There's too many people asking questions, it's exhausting. I'm off to stay at my aunt's. I'll come back tomorrow, but I've said everything I can say.
Aspects of her life.
Probably right here. Why? I didn't realize I was under house arrest. Thanks for the advice. I hope I'm not the only suspect.
Sam, I've got some heavy rain news. Lawrence Petrovsky, that's his real name, and no, he's not a Russian spy. But he does have a criminal record. He was charged with the murder of a 21-year-old artist. Looks like he got off on a technicality by all accounts. About 3 months ago in Hong Kong. Be careful, Sam. If you're going to ask him about this, it could be a flight risk. And you know, there's a good chance he could be the killer. Door's behind you. Rain's still a suspect. No corroborated alibi. Bronwyn Castle has one, Lexi Taylor doesn't. I got my search back on Rain, or Petrovsky, as we should call him. He's got priors that you're looking into. Rain met Ellis when he was touting for work. He gets around quickly. Ellis knows Violet because of the free radio project. Violet says she doesn't remember last night, but I've got that in hand. Zach Weston says he was in his studio last night. No one corroborates. Oscar's in the clear. He was playing football last night. He said that Dorota had a wedding dress in her closet. Not many people would know that. That's it.
It's now 10 o'clock. Here's your August update. Investigations deepen into last night's murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Miss Shaw, a talented cellist who had recently been granted a place at Juilliard, was found strangled at her home last night. With the murderer still at large, Chief DuPont has urged residents to remain calm and stresses there is almost no chance of anyone else being harmed. Alice, if you're listening, let me know you're okay. In other news, a handful of August residents have reported seeing strange lights in the sky earlier this evening. The lights, which witnesses describe as searingly bright, were spotted over the east edge of town, past the fire station. Have you seen any strange lights? Or for that matter, little green men? Let me know. That's 10 o'clock with Poe.
And tentacles, each topped with an eyeball. Only they weren't, except for a moment. The head was a monstrous mouth of a...
Oh, it's you. I was hoping it might be Zach. No? Oh, him, yes. I've heard him on the radio. Never met in real life, though. Are you mocking me, Sam? No, I have never met the man. No. And I've got some very important news for him if he ever shows up. Yes. If he ever shows up. Yes, now I remember. It's the one in the hall. Sometimes cuts through the unbearable silence in this place. Not really. I expected her to be blonde for some reason.
At least for now. It needed help with its camouflage. A human mind to wear, like a shell for a hermit crab.
Sorry, Sam, what can I do for you? Yeah, I always cry around this time of night. What's the point, Sam, huh? If we can't save them. Mercury is a curse. It's like some tourist guide for murders. I try for Alexi and Rain to make them think that we can make a difference, make a change, but we haven't so far. What if we can't make a change? Maybe if we could just save one person, Sam. Alice. We need to save her. We need to. Yes, she's definitely got a monkey on her back. I saw her get changed. She's got all these scars on her back in the shape of a monkey. Like they've been burned into her. What the hell happened to her, Sam? Yes, I managed to sneak a look at her laptop. She's been Googling Ellis Munro. It rings a bell, but no. Sorry, Sam.
And regurgitated a worm-like thing. No thicker than its fingers, but longer.
Something you want to ask me, Sam? Now that's someone I get mistaken for all the time. It's not me. Chief Dupont has made a mistake. I don't know what you're talking about, Detective. Honestly? You don't. Once they're caught, a few hours later they've hopped timelines into someone else. We just keep chasing them. Continuously trying to stop them ruining lives. No, but they don't like being exposed. If Mercury pointed them out, they're already in trouble. We'd do a reading. Mercury would know.
Not these ones, the worm had to be told as people strolled past on the sidewalk. Not this one, the worm had to be told when talking with coworkers and
It was weird. Zach thought he'd already met me. Why would that be, Sam? That's what I thought, although I'm sure he said my name. Anyway, I did find out one thing. He has a massive collection of books about serial killers. What's that about? A who, what, Petrov's what? No. Should I? He's off the radio. I don't really know him. Actually, I'm glad you're here. I really, really want to do a reading for you right now. You know, to help. Great. Let me just draw 3 cards for you. This is just a general reading. You don't need a question. Okay. Oh, the 2 of Cups. That's mysterious. Is there anyone you feel a spark of attraction to? Maybe someone you've met recently? The lovers. I did not expect that. It seems this attraction has the potential to be life-changing, if you want it to be. And finally, the Knight of Cups. This card is about pursuing your heart's desire. I think it's time to tell that someone special how you really feel. Wow, what an interesting reading. Does it mean anything to you? You catch on quickly, don't you, Sam?
Before George was gone. Then the bag lady floated there, silent and saddened.
Don't get excited, detective. I did a criminology course. They make you buy the books.
Mares.
With Poe and Monroe. Now this is a particular... I delivered radios all over town. I don't think I should have bothered with some of them, though. I don't think... Violet, is it? I don't think Violet liked me very much. Maybe. I don't know why anyone would be threatened by me, though. I'm not interested in stealing anyone's man.
They stand for perhaps some danger that's lurking, perhaps represented as danger of certain people, people that this listener perceives as dangerous to them, and never.
Don't confirm the existence of travelers. They're not ready.
I'm Zach Weston. Just sharpening my powers of persuasion.
The stakes are high.
But what else do you need?
Oh yeah, you need to balance.
Zach, the game is up. I think you should leave town.
What?
I know where you were last night. I followed you to Dorota's house. Well, I didn't know it was Dorota's house until we arrived. Call it women's intuition.
I was at the studio. I was at the studio.
Don't change the subject. Sam and Dupont will put two and two together.
And then what?
And then they're going to arrest you. You weren't there long, I suppose, but then I guess it doesn't take you long, does it?
You're spying on me.
I followed you there, then back to the studio. You lied to the police. You lied to me. Done with you. We're finished. Don't come back here again.
Welcome to Poe's Curiosity Shop. Alice, this object that I've just handed to you.
I'm Poe, and this is your August update. August update.
And it's made of, I think, metal. I think it's metal.
We had the same metal in one of our earlier shows. Do you remember? It was the same material.
I'm sorry, can I help you?
I've
It's not a very good time at the moment, I'm afraid.
Really? Anything I can help with?
No, not really.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what else
why
to use
would
it for.
people, in ancient times, why?
Would they tie it around themselves, perhaps? Attach it to some leather, maybe?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, again, it's a theme that we've visited.
John. I'm gonna be fine.
At Brindley Hill, the site of a step. Might have seen it. Legend says that it wards off evil spirits while traversing the ley line network.
Well, I wish we could give everyone in August one of those.
Hi, Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
Robin's had this dream recently. I'm looking through an album of family photos, but I don't recognize.
Tell me about Hong Kong.
If you know about Hong Kong, then I don't have to tell you anything. It's all in that report that you've clearly read.
What does the name Lawrence...
About yay high, beard, thick rim glasses. I have no idea who you're talking about.
And the family. So I think there are, there is a, perhaps...
I haven't asked you about...
Until a few hours ago, I never heard of the guy. Creepy as fudge, if you ask me.
Thanks, Lexi.
Anything for you, Chief?
And, it's just not, perhaps not how it used to be.
Did you get a call from my doctor?
Your doctor did call.
Did you tell her I was being compliant?
I said you were taking the pills.
Thank you, Claude. I won't forget that.
You said you saw other heads when you were taken.
Yes. Other girls, younger than me. Nobody I recognised. They all had red hair.
Do you think this place is nearby? They all...
Yes, they all had red hair. They were all very pretty. And they were all alive. In that moment.
By the sounds of it, this dream feels very sad, and it feels like it's... There are so many of us that go through situations like this, so similar to yours, but...
And can understand what's going on. I think that already could be a...
He didn't. He was the one in her bedroom last night. I never made it that far. I just followed him to her house. I wrongly assumed we were in a relationship. I thought that he was cheating on me. Which he was. I saw him leave Dorota's and I followed him straight after. I don't know if anyone else was there. Nobody went in or out whilst Zach was there. I tailed him as soon as he left. He drives like a maniac, so I'd lose him otherwise. Yes. Should I be surprised you've seen it? Years ago, tattoos and piercings were frowned upon, but they're all in vogue now. Maybe branding scars will be in fashion too.
But these are kind of unrelated thoughts. I'm hoping that you, Monroe, as always, can string these things together.
Well...
Why would she say that? That would put us both at the crime scene. Dorota was fine when I left her. She asked me to come over and watch her get her freak on, which I did, being the gentleman that I am. I misread the signal somewhat, as I thought I was supposed to join in, which was not the case. I think she threw a teddy bear at me or something. Ugh. After that I left. I had no idea Violet was spying on me.
Oh yeah, you need to balance. You need the balance.
Exactly, that's exactly right. So what the tightrope refers to is actually the balance in your life. Now, but in this case, the shocks actually refer to the negative people. I think from what you said about your dream is that you're trying so hard to keep your life balanced.
Yeah, Dr. Tanner. She's checking up on Violet. Why are you still giving her a hard time about this? She's had it tough enough already. She's had a shopping list of medical issues. This is just the latest thing. She might seem tough on the outside, but she's frightened, Sam. About a lot of things. The doctor said the aliens are delusions, a side effect of her previous alcoholism. She's been sober 6 months, and I don't want to change that, Sam. The neuropathy she suffered due to alcohol is causing her problems. The pills are to try to help with that, but I guess they have side effects too. Memory loss. She's not a monster. Just a little girl lost. She was drinking to forget. She ran with a bad crowd a few years ago. They branded their backs with symbols, basically a cult. The leaders were imprisoned, but they left a lot of baggage behind. You won't get any mileage talking to her about it, I assure you.
Mandela Tower block. Gravity accelerates me towards the pavement, 32 stories below. Tenzin taught me that the secret was to...
Hi, Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
Tenzin rooting around in there. Words were spoken, fists were raised. The truth is...
No, of course not. The doctor was very clear that I would hallucinate if I drank with clozapine. Trying to hold on to this reality.
Room service carts and a roof with a view to die for. Involving a woman. I guess that's how most of them fall. He had wisdom, though. Of that I have no doubt.
It's now 10 o'clock. Here's your August update. Investigations deepen into last night's murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Miss Shaw, a talented cellist who had recently been granted a place at Juilliard, was found strangled at her home last night. With the murderer still at large, Chief DuPont has urged residents to remain calm and stresses there is almost no chance of anyone else being harmed. Alice, if you're listening, let me know you're okay. In other news, a handful of August residents have reported seeing strange lights in the sky earlier this evening. The lights, which witnesses describe as searingly bright, were spotted over the east edge of town, past the fire station. Have you seen any strange lights? Or for that matter, little green men? Let me know. That's 10 o'clock with Poe.
August's gone crazy tonight. I've just got off the phone with someone who thinks they saw a UFO on one of the nights that Violet went missing. Aliens will be normal right now. Anyway, now you're here, it's time. What do you suggest we do with Ellis Monroe? Monroe's a local treasure around here, Sam. Don't let anything happen to her.
Sam, I'm not sure. Do you think you can stop someone from trying to kill me? At least you're being honest, Sam. I appreciate what you've done, what you're doing for me, but you don't need to stay here. We could both die, and I don't want that. Thanks for staying with me, Sam. I know it's dangerous. I don't know why you're here, but I'm glad you are. It's almost 10 o'clock, Sam. When's it going to be over? You said Bronwyn will call when it's safe. Should we call them now? Or are we just supposed to wait? I know you're just being good, but that's kind of easy for you to say right now. I think I'm probably going to have a heart attack before anyone gets a chance to kill me. That's the door. That's the door, Sam. What are we gonna do?
Thank God. I've been outside all the time, okay? Bronwyn Castle just called. She said the danger is over. They've done a new reading. There's another victim now. Look, Danny's outside. He's going to take you somewhere safe, okay? Sam, I think you should find out who the next victim's going to be. Then come and see me in my office.
It's 11 o'clock. I'm Poe, and this is your August update. Police investigating the murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw say they are getting closer to apprehending the killer. The death of Miss Shaw, who was found strangled at her home late last night, has sparked a massive police operation and caused alarm amongst August residents. Monroe has some personal business to attend to, but she sends you all her love and hopes to be back on the air tomorrow. And Monroe, if you can hear me, I'm sending my love out to you too. That's 11 o'clock with Poe.
Sam, I have some bad news. We've done a group reading, and it's you. We can't predict that. The next victim, it's you. I'm sorry. I think you've interfered too much. That's why you're the next target. I've called Chief DuPont already. He's asked that you meet with him. You should go, Sam. Be careful.
Sam, it's almost midnight. You're still alive. This is a good thing, but no one's even attempted to kill you yet. You've given me a lot of evidence, enough to arrest someone. But who? Make the right decision, and you should be safe. If we don't, well, we've all got to sleep at some point. I can get someone to guard your room at the guest house, but it might not be enough. So, Sam, who should I arrest? During that whole thing with Alice, the only people I couldn't keep track of were Rain, Zach, and Violet. I don't want to believe it's Violet, but that's why you're here. You're impartial. Out of those three names, who was with Dorota at the time of her murder, or who has an alibi that doesn't check out? This is on you, Sam. Just give me a name.
Rain. Agreed. He's got no corroborated alibis for any key times, and he's one of those tarot muppets who I suspected all along. I was right when I said Bronwyn, because I knew it was one of them. I just didn't know which one. I'll pick him up. Just be careful tonight, Sam. If you've not done your job properly, the killer's still out there.
Sam, you asked for these earlier. Make sure you get some sleep now. You'll need it. Night.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and this is Poe with your August update. We don't normally have them at this time, but since there's a killer on the loose, I feel it's my duty to keep the radio station manned. I personally spoke with Chief DuPont earlier, and he thinks they're close to catching the killer. Until that happens, though, please lock your doors and stay inside. Remain vigilant. The light has faded, and so has my fortitude. I see things in shadows, behind doors and under desks. I hear the chattering of teeth and the glee of insects waiting to feed on me. The studio undulates like a heart that beats its last beats. I can't go on. I must to bed. Forgive me, Lady August. Forgive me.
Hello, sleepyhead. I'm so glad to see you alive. Enjoy the journey, Sam. Don't think of things as ending. Something new is beginning. Rain is locked up. He's being charged for murder. Travelers don't like being incarcerated, so they'll have jumped realities already. It's not something that a jury will believe. The shell they've left behind won't remember what they've done and spend a life in prison. All we can do is try and stop the next one. I still can't believe it was Rain. I suppose nobody is immune, and now we're one short. Sam, come with us, please. We could really use someone like you, and, well, just... will you? Really? Oh, Sam, that's wonderful. Let's finish packing and we can leave this afternoon. Sam, thank you. We're going to change lives, believe me.
Hey, sweet cheeks. You did good. Real good. You win. Alexi hug. Sam, I'm just going to say it because you only live once and all that. Sam, I think I've fallen for you. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. It's out there now. We can get on with our lives. You too? I'm the happiest girl in the world. We have some catching up to do.
Sam, I guess you're on your way now. I don't often thank my guests, but Thank you. I didn't think you had it in you. Well, I at least thought you'd run away at some point. But you didn't. You stayed. You've made August safe again. If you ever need a place to stay, you've got one here. Well, if I have a room available, that is. Take care, Sam.
I didn't think you'd leave without saying goodbye. People do horrible things to people every day. I'm just glad there's someone like you around to save us. I mean, everyone needs a little saving from time to time. Even me. Sam, you already did. That's why I'm here talking to you. And I won't forget it. Heroes don't always get on the news, but they always burn bright in the hearts of the people they save. You have an impact, Sam. Everyone does. They just forget. Keep saving people for me, you hear? Bye, Sam.
Sam, you did good. I thought you would. I mean, not that I've got a signed confession or anything. Yet. Apparently, they don't remember anything about the murders, but Bronwyn seems pretty convinced it's over. Well done. I hear you're leaving town with the tarot readers. That's a real big shame. You were starting to fit in here. But good luck to you. You're doing what many of us have died trying. Leaving August. And I've stuck to my word. That problem you had, I buried it. The coroner's report is going to say the woman was dead when you arrived, not after. I don't personally believe in exorcism or anything like that, but over the last 24 hours, I'm starting to think things aren't as cut and dried as I'd like them to be. You're a good person, Sam. At least that's definitely how it looks from the outside.
I am Dorota. I am 21 years old. I love playing cello, and I just been awarded a scholarship to Juilliard. I just love cello. I love all string instruments, but cello is rich and deep and soothing, at least to me. No, cello is my hobby, but my real passion is... It's silly, it sounds silly. Well, I would like to build a time machine. I know. But it is possible. I think people make mistakes. They do things they regret and they say things they don't mean. I want to go back in time. I want to make better choices.
You know why you're here, don't you? Because you did well. And you know what happens when you do well? Augmentation. Congratulations, Agent 3.13. Welcome to 3.14. Debriefing 3204, Birmingham. Transmit. And we're ready. Are you human? Do you have feelings? Splendid. Do plants have feelings? It hasn't worked. It's stuck in compliance mode. Can we get someone in here, please?